Well, glad you're still with us on Colorado and Company. 9 lions have been sleeping comfortably after being rescued from war-torn Ukraine just a few weeks ago and brought right here to Colorado. Those working at the Wild Animal Sanctuary in Keensburg, Colorado, say knowing the lions are no longer in danger is why they do what they do. Here's more.
Pat, I'm so excited to be talking to you. This is such a cool and incredible story. Tell me about these lions that you brought over from Ukraine and how you guys found out about them first.
Okay, well, thank you for having us on. The lions were in Odessa, which is a city in Ukraine, and as the war there with Russia started to move across the country and get closer, the zoo that's there currently had a number of lions there that they needed to get out so that they would be safe. And one of the things that we had to do was temporarily move them from Ukraine to Romania while we waited for the permits to get them into the United States. And so there wasn't much time to leave them there. And so it was really critical for us to get the lions out of Ukraine into a safer place. And then once the permit was issued, move them here.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. And then in terms of that movement itself, I mean, how does it work? I can imagine you can't just like pop a lion on a plane necessarily and bring them here. How does it work?
Yeah, so moving any of these animals is definitely a complicated issue. They're full-grown lions, and so there's special kind of crating that we use to load the lions. And so initially they have to be lightly sedated to be able to get into the crates, and then they're woken back up, and at that point they can be moved. And so they were trucked from inside Ukraine over to Romania, and then they stayed in a zoo that had temporary holding there. But once it was time to come here, we had to make a number of 9 crates that were specially made to fly on air cargo aircraft. And so then the lions are reloaded onto those, and they flew from there to Qatar, and then from Qatar to Dallas, Fort Worth. And that's where we met them again to pick them up and bring them the rest of the way to the refuge.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And then you guys at the refuge too, how does it feel to be able to really help out when it comes to something like this? I mean, these lions must mean a lot to you just because you work with animals like this all the time.
Yeah, we rescue animals all over the United States and actually around the world as well, but these were special. Obviously, their lives were in danger, and it was a very complicated rescue to get them out in such short notice. So anytime we do a rescue, it's quite the big deal, but to do it during those circumstances was an additional task for everybody involved.
Yeah, definitely. How are they doing now? How are they acclimating to the sanctuary? I mean, what's kind of their day-to-day routine?
Well, right now they're put inside of a large natural habitat, but they're also still in temporary introduction enclosures, and that way they get used to the sights and sounds, and they can make sure that they feel safe before we let them out into the 65-acre habitat. And it's a completely forested area, and it's a really beautiful setting down at the refuge. And so we're looking forward to releasing them probably here in the next few days.
Amazing. That is so cool. Well, we can't wait to see what life is like for them. Pat, I want to ask you personally, first of all, how long have you been at the refuge? And then what is it like being able to not only work with these incredible animals, but also just be able to help out in this process of helping to save these animals from such a dire situation?
Well, thank you. I've been doing this for 42 years. I started clear back in 1980 and started rescuing these kinds of animals here in the United States. And all the animals that we took in would have been either euthanized or would have died in bad circumstances. And so it was really nice to be able to give them a second chance at life, and also to give them a really good life rather than living in a cage. They live in these large natural habitats. But that's kind of what we've done throughout my whole career. And the sanctuary is now one of the largest carnivore sanctuaries in the whole world. And so taking care of these animals, which are majestic creatures, is quite the incredible job. And of course, we love what we do.
Yeah, I mean, 42 years, you have to. Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Well, the one last thing I want to ask is, so many of us, really know animals from dogs and cats. We look into our pets' eyes and we really feel that warmth and that love. And obviously with, carnivorous animals, I'm sure it's a little bit different, but do you ever feel like, that you're saving their lives?
Yeah, these are really incredibly smart animals. And so every time we go in and rescue them, you can really tell that they know that they were suffering before or their lives were in danger before. And so then when we get them and save them, they're actually very grateful, and they're very warm and endearing in the sense of appreciative, if you could call it that. And so the animals that we rescue go on to be very thankful and very talkative to us, and love to um, build relationships with their keepers.
That is so incredible and so impressive. Pat, thank you again so much for taking the time. And more than that, thank you for all of the incredible work you're doing to really help save majestic and incredible creatures. We can't even say thank you enough.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you telling their story.
Of course.
Well, the lions are happily getting used to their new environment and will be released to roam the sanctuary very soon. If you'd like to learn more about the incredible work done at the Wild Animal Sanctuary in Keensburg, just visit wildanimalsanctuary.org.